We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Sam LaPorta, Iowa tight end, who I think is the most complete and well-rounded tight end in this draft class. You get like guys like Dalton Kincaid, who's like an elite receiving threat, but can definitely grow, improve as a blocker, and then vice versa with Darnell Washington, who's an elite blocker, but could definitely show some improvement as a route runner. And both of those guys are 1 and 2 for me in this class. But then Sam LaPorta just is amazing all around. He doesn't have like any elite traits, but as a route runner, he's very smart, he's nuanced, he's strong at the catch point, and he's a very good player after the catch. A lot of crazy plays throughout his career in that area. And then as a blocker, he's very tenacious, he's very willing, physical blocker, he has good technique, he drives players, he knows how to use his hands. And then what really excites me is his versatility as a blocker, getting him in line as a wide tight end, using him on the move, H-back type of tight end. You have so much versatility to his game in that area. His blocking on the move is amazing, and like he could be a fit on really any team. But as a Dolphins fan myself, his fit in Mike McDaniel's scheme is just so perfect. He's one of the guys in this draft class that I really want to see in that system. I think he would flourish there. He'd be so good in the running game and as a receiver. We got LaPorta in this like stacked tight look right here, and it's a third down situation, and he's that main receiving threat. He sets up this route beautifully. We'll go back, watch this a little more slowly. And honestly, when I first started watching LaPorta, just from what I'd heard, I thought he was going to be an okay receiver and like an amazing blocker, just from how I heard people talking about him. But his receiving game is really, really good. He sets this up slow pace. He knows how to vary his tempo, keep DBs guessing. And you know, when you're in this tight, stacked look, he makes this route work perfectly. He slow plays this, takes this outside angle, but then he knows the timing of this too, that they're blitzing, so he doesn't want to take too long. And then he sticks that right foot in the ground, shows off this ability to just change directions, burst to the inside, create separation. The timing is perfect with the quarterback, and then gets open, catches the ball. You can see some of his speed after the catch. Like, he had a pretty good combine speed. I believe it was a 4.59. And you can see the athleticism on tape. But setting this up beautifully, I think he's got some nuance to his game. Varies the tempo, attacks the outside leverage, sticks the foot in the ground, and gets upfield immediately to pick up a third down. And then you can see even he stumbled a little bit after the catch, and he was still able to regain the balance and then show off enough burst to pick up an extra 15, 20 yards. Really like Sam LaPorta's game. He's just a really, really strong player in so many areas. A lot of things LaPorta does in the receiving game is so small, so nuanced, so subtle. Like right here, doesn't seem like anything too crazy of a route, but he's facing off-man coverage, and this DB has hard outside leverage, and LaPorta is able to steal this leverage back. You want to win the leverage battle, and he takes a slight outside angle. He's just slowly regaining this outside leverage, knowing he's going to run the out route, and he ends up squaring up the DB. Now he's like completely squared up. Then he gives a little foot fire at the top of the release right here. He's very efficient getting in and out of his breaks, not too much wasted movement, gets out of it very easily, and then shows some sideline awareness, catching this, getting his feet inbound, even getting the knees inbounds, you know, at the next level. 1 knee, 2 feet. Really nice play here from LaPorta, just regaining, stealing that leverage. He's a very smart route runner, and once he does like get squared up, he gives this slight stem back vertically, and then gives that step with that right foot, and then gets out of it very smoothly and efficiently. Here we got him in line, and you can just see how much movement he's creating on these edge outside linebackers versus Wisconsin. Like, he was amazing in this game as a blocker. Great hand, great leg drive. Like, look at him, just so much movement. Outside zone runs. He's on the play side. He takes an angle here while he's probably looking like he wants to, you know, cut him off, kick him out. He gets the hands to the inside. He lifts up, gets the hips into it as well, and then he just drives those feet, and he's able to sustain, which is really impressive. A lot of times tight ends, I think, struggle with sustaining these blocks, but LaPorta, once he gets your hands on you and he starts driving you, he really knows how to sustain, strain, and get his angles and get his back to help his running back get to the leverage that he wants. We get to see LaPorta working against some zone. Not too much going on with the route here. He does a good job of like dipping around the linebacker right there, but just the play at the catch point. You can see the hand catch technique going up over the middle of the field, no fear at all, expecting to take a hit, and he still hangs on to it even though the guy's hitting his arms too. I really like this play from just getting around the reroute from the linebacker. He tries to reroute him, but he dips that shoulder, reduce the surface area, and then still get back. His eyes snap him back to the quarterback, gets down on a line too, doesn't round off the route either, and then makes the play at the catch point in between the two linebackers, expecting to get hit. Shows off the strong hands too at the catch point. You want to have those tight end that makes those tough catches, because at the next level, even if you're a great route runner as a tight end, you're not always going to be wide open versus NFL talent. So you got to be able to make those tough contested catches above the frame, away from the frame, any other area, inaccurate passes. LaPorta is a very reliable receiver over the middle of the field. Putting this play in here, just to look at his versatility in the run game, getting him on the move, setting up as a fullback, and then bringing him back on like these split zone sift type of blocks. So many different areas, looking like he's going to step to the outside zone play side, but then he sifts this back to get the unblocked defender. This is why I think he's such a good fit in McDaniel's system. They do this type of thing all the time with their tight ends. Alec Ingold and LaPorta just gets over there and just drops his shoulder into the edge defender. Takes a great angle as well. A lot of times when I see tight ends doing this, when they have to either split zone block, sift back, they either slow down to like cut him off, and then it gives the edge defender time to blow him up and constrict the run lanes. But LaPorta doesn't slow down, drops his shoulder into it, and is still able to get a good clean hit on him, and even cut him off and get his hands on him for a second too, which created this big run lane. Like usually tight ends slow down and constrict the run lanes, or they go super fast and just miss. He goes fast, hard, and then creates a big run lane that could be there potentially in the future. He's just a very strong blocker in so many areas. I love the versatility. Praying that he ends up on the Dolphins, but he would be amazing on any team. Looking forward to where he ends up for sure. LaPorta right here, we get to see him blocking on the move as like that lead blocker on space on these end around reverses, and he does a great job out in space. Like this is a very tough block to make. Like this 41 right here has so many places to just make you miss. Like how many times have you seen in like these types of situations, like screens, things like that, these blockers out in space, and they just get easily whiff. He takes a great angle, squares him up, hand placement is perfect. He then extends, keeps driving the legs, he resets the hand, gets him to the outside 41, and then he keeps driving him, gives his back to the runner right there, helps maximize yardage. Very impressive with the things that he can do. I think as a blocker out in space, it's one of the most impressive things I've seen him do. Not a lot of tight ends, not a lot of players are good at blocking out in space, creating this much movement, taking great angles. Like he doesn't slow down at all and is still able to completely wash this linebacker out of the play without, missing at all. The recovery, his hands, everything, start to finish, absolutely beautiful. Another example of LaPorta just kind of abusing 41 on another outside zone block. He just carries him all the way to the sideline. Usually you could see him reach, but he just drives him to the outside, gets hands engaged again with perfect hand placement. The drive, sustain. You can see him use high hand, low hand. He sort of dips those shoulders with it too. He gets fully extended and just keeps driving him. Takes great angles, keeps his leverage too. You can see power on every play. He's always under control as well. He's playing at a very fast pace, very physical. And a lot of times when those things happens for tight ends, they can get a little bit out of control, but not LaPorta. He's a great athlete in both the receiving and the running game. Here we get to see LaPorta as a receiver again, outlined in the slot. He can run routes from the slot and as in line as well, pretty much anywhere you want. But you can just see the physicality in his route. Solid play after the catch as well. I didn't have any all 22 of like any of his crazy yards after the catch plays, but if you want to like look up his highlights and just see some of the crazy plays he has after the catch, pretty impressive stuff. But I love we see him win his routes with nuance, how he sets up things with leverage. Here he tries to get this little foot fire hard stab to the outside, which is a nice little route. But then he dips the shoulder and then gets physical, just runs through the DB. Love the play strength. Stays under control, and while the DB falls, he doesn't at all. Snaps his head back around, catches the ball away from his frame, makes one guy miss, picks up, maximizing those yards after the catch. Just a nice play, showing off a lot of good traits here. At least tries to give you something. He clearly runs his routes with a plan, and even if it doesn't work, he can make up for it with the physicality. He's an athlete. He catches his ball as well. You can see the athleticism too after the catch, how he quickly is able to stop, come under control, and instantly change direction and transition upfield as well. And then he gets kind of caught from behind because he has to make the first guy miss, but you can still see all those traits relevant on this play. LaPorta in the slot again. There's many ways to create separation. Physicality, play strength is one of them, and he does a great job of just combining his moves. And this is versus Illinois, and you get to see his yards after catch ability again. Like, Illinois' secondary is amazing. They have like 3 DBs who are going to get drafted pretty high this year. LaPorta was abusing a decent amount of them. He loves to, give this slight hesitation. He really uses his footwork well, and then he bursts out of the slight hesitation, kind of foot fire right there, leans into the DB. The DB is just all off balance now just because of how he sets up this route, just because of his footwork initially. And the DB gets caught like overextending, getting high pad level. He leans into him, and now he's just completely off balance. Gives a slight subtle shove out of the break, and now he's just wide open, and then he makes the first guy miss. Second guy miss. He can make you miss with athleticism, play strength, contact balance. He's just that jack of all trade, complete tight end in this draft class. And that Iowa tight ends, it's the tight end going into the NFL. Like I feel like every Iowa tight end is always successful, and I just have a strong feeling he's going to be a very solid player in the NFL for a very long time. Another nice route from LaPorta. He thought he was going to have to avoid the reroute from the linebacker there, so he gets that outside initial leverage. Also, nice play at the catch point as well. Gets outside, tries to dip that shoulder. I think he's going to get physical right there. And then this guy, he attacks up, eats up some cushion, and then runs this route actually, making a nice efficient break from about 3-4 yards away from him, and then gets down horizontal straight down the line. Very little wasted movement. He didn't do too much as a route runner there, and the ball's thrown on his back shoulder and able to flip his hips around, catch it very naturally. No wasted movement either. No bobble at the catch point. When you're able to just like flip your hips and catch this ball like this, it shows off some great hip fluidity, athleticism, but also your comfortable ball skills too. And he's running these routes versus a lot of DBs. He's not like beating linebackers too. Like he's beating DBs on good college football teams, which I think is an important thing to understand. Like even when he's not running his greatest routes, he's still getting open with separation just because he's such a good athlete. Like LaPorta is a really, really nice player. Last play, let me break down. We got LaPorta lined up on the outside, actually. Ohio State's in a cover 2. I think LaPorta recognizes this pretty quickly, and he gives that look to the outside right there, knowing that this DB, when they're playing like cloud corners, they really don't want to give the tight ends or like the receivers who are on the outside an outside release. So LaPorta threatens it initially, gives the foot fire, and then once the DB shoots his hands, he gets nice hand fighting. He swipes it away, almost looks like an edge rusher beating those hands right there from an offensive lineman. And then gets to the inside. He just creates his own separation here just by giving that slight look to the outside. He's just a smart, nuanced player. He catches this ball above the frame. Good hand catch technique. He doesn't slow down at all. He doesn't jump either. Just a very comfortable player at the catch point. He wins here with his athleticism, his processing, his instincts, and then also some physicality to beat the hands. Catches the ball well. You can see some of the burst athleticism after the catch. Nothing too crazy, but overall, LaPorta's game is really, really strong. I love watching him play as a receiver, run blocker, pass blocker as well. Like I didn't show any pass blocking breakdowns, but he's solid there too. Really, so many different ways that you can use him. His ability as a route runner, I think, is what really makes him special, because there's a lot of times you find these solid blocking tight ends who are going to have solid careers, but most of the time they're not very good route runners. They're probably usually strong at the catch. They can make some contest catches, but LaPorta has that combination of traits that you just don't see very often, and that's why I'm a huge fan of his game. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.